Victoria Azarenka, is booed by the crowd after losing to Ukraine's Elena Svitolina. Good morning to you. The US President Joe Biden is due to meet Rishi Sunak shortly, with the war in Ukraine expected to be at the top of the agenda for both leaders. It's the president's first visit to Downing Street itself, and it comes after the United States agreed to controversial cluster bombs to Ukraine, a move which Rishi Sunak has discouraged. Following the meeting, Joe Biden will then head to Windsor Castle to meet the King. Sky's political editor Beth Rigby joins me now live from Downing Street. And Beth, we can see there the steps being taken to prepare for the president's arrival. Of course, cluster munitions, Ukraine will be on the agenda. Also just a chance for us to read the mood between the two gentlemen, because although this is the sixth meeting in the last 7 months between them, there have been questions about the quality of the relationship, and one could frame this as a great step that other countries aren't getting before the NATO summit, but also as only a quick 30-40-minute catch-up.
Yeah, that's right, Wilfred. But look, they've just put in the, as you said, this has just come out in the last few minutes. The red carpet is laid out. The president will come up in his special armoured car. Down here you can't see, but Whitehall has been closed off. But yeah, go into the substance of the meeting. I mean, from a Downing Street perspective, 6 meetings with President Biden in 7 months is pretty good going. They would say the substantive meeting was, of course, at the White House last month, when there was a press conference between the two leaders, and there was a long bilateral meeting as well as a very long one-on-one between the two men behind closed doors. Number 10 buzzing after that visit, saying that the two men had cemented their relationship. The Prime Minister talked to him about wanting a leadership role in artificial intelligence and the regulation of that, and the UK is going to host a global summit. But in terms of the meeting today, really this is just the warm-up act for the President to meet King Charles, because President Biden didn't attend the coronation. Joe Biden did come, and he has been saying to the King that he would visit, and so on his way to the NATO summit in Lithuania, he is stopping off at number 10 first, and then of course going to Windsor Castle. Really today is about meeting the King, not the Prime Minister. And in terms of what the talks will be about, no doubt they will talk ahead of NATO. There are divisions about the speed in which, or whether indeed allies should signal the Ukraine's eventual membership of NATO. There's also, as you were mentioning, that issue around cluster bombs. President Biden going to sanction that for Ukraine. That's something that the UK won't, along with other European allies. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be brought up by the Prime Minister. He doesn't want to stoke any divisions with Biden ahead of NATO. But really, yeah, it's a catch-up between two leaders who have getting on pretty well. There's a bigger question in terms of the UK's influence now that we have left the European Union, with the role of being the transatlantic bridge from the US into Europe. Obviously, without a seat around the table of the European Union, President Biden with clearly strong bilateral relations now with France and Germany too.
And Beth, I mean, it's interesting clearly on that note that the next part of this trip for the President and indeed for the Prime Minister will be to go to Vilnius for the NATO summit, because clearly the UK very much is still a part of that international organisation, and one could argue has been one of the loudest voices speaking the language that the US would want spoken in and around the Ukraine-Russia war. And yet, clearly, based on all reporting over the last couple of weeks, weeks, the US hasn't supported the UK's bid to have a British leader in Ben Wallace as the next leader of NATO. So it does just continue that conversation. Maybe this is, as you said, the UK's own doing. Maybe it's partly because of Brexit. But even if President Biden is trying his best to show love and affection for the UK and indeed for the current Prime Minister, that they're just perhaps not as interested as they used to be.
Yeah, look, I think the thing about the Ben Wallace nomination for NATO, it was brought up, asked a question to President Biden about this when we were all in Washington at that White House press conference. He didn't commit either way, but in terms of NATO, there are other Europeans, indeed Chrystia Freeland, who is the foreign minister of Canada, that are very, very credible candidates. And, you know, there is an issue around whether or not European Union countries would want a UK member of a UK leader of NATO, or would it be that they would prefer a European? Might it be that a woman is appointed as the head of NATO? I mean, I think it was something that the Prime Minister put to President Biden, but that is not going to be the case. We're not going to have Ben Wallace as the leader of the next leader, Secretary General of NATO. That might be a disappointment to the Prime Minister, but I think what number 10 would say is that they would stress the closeness of the relationship between the UK and the US around Ukraine, the leadership that both countries have shown in terms of military support and assistance. And I think that leadership on Ukraine really has helped smooth tensions around Brexit. The UK's exit from the European Union is simply not helpful for the Americans because, as I said, the UK has long been seen as a transatlantic bridge between the US and Europe. President Biden, we know, was unhappy about some of the post-Brexit trading difficulties in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and he'd spoken openly about that. He was very pleased about the Windsor Agreement, but it's just a simple reality that maybe strategically the UK not as important anymore. I imagine number 10 would also, though, point to AUKUS. That's the relationship between Australia, the US and the UK about strengthening military presence in the Indo-Pacific region. And Larry's come out. That's he got a little cheer. There's a lot of press here. They gave him a cheer. That threw me there. I thought the president might be here. But he went to San Diego earlier this year for a summit about AUKUS, and the UK would certainly say, yeah, we're not in the European Union, but we still have a very special relationship, and we are still strategically a very important ally of the US.
Beth, thank you so much, and what a great shot we have there of the red carpet for Larry currently, given President Biden's slight delay, and we will be back with Beth live in Downing Street for President Biden's arrival. It is due this hour, certainly any minute now, and of course ahead of then the trip to Windsor to see the King at about lunchtime today. Well, let's just discuss a little bit further about what might be on the agenda today. Scott Lucas, Professor of US and International Politics at University College Dublin's Clinton Institute, joins me. Thanks so much for joining me, Professor. I guess why don't we just kick off on that top line question that I was discussing a bit with Beth. Is it fair to say that the UK these days is less important to the US?
I think it's fair to say that the special relationship has always been a bit of a myth. It's been a myth which has been really valuable to the UK since World War II. But if I could speak personally before analyzing, when I grew up in America, my parents knew of two people in England, not the UK, they called it England, the Queen and Benny Hill, if anybody remembers him. So for a lot of Americans, the UK has not necessarily been the foremost ally. And for US governments, you can talk about Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, or talk about Bill Clinton and Tony Blair, but the reality is that US governments have really looked to a range of allies. They've looked to the UK, they've looked to European allies, they've looked to Asian allies. And we have to be honest here, is that Brexit has damaged the UK's standing with the US, as in so many other areas, because the UK now no longer has that political and economic value because it has isolated itself. Just to put it bluntly, does the US put a priority on dealing with one country in London, or does it deal with the power of 27, the economic and political power of 27 called the European Union? Still an important relationship. Still an important relationship. We've seen it with Ukraine, but it's not necessarily the priority relationship for Washington.
And that clearly is a fact as it relates to the EU, given that Brexit has taken place. Is that short-sighted, however, by the United States, and particularly given the military position, as highlighted in the last couple of years with the Russia-Ukraine war? The UK clearly still the fifth or sixth biggest economy in the world as well, but it is unquestionably one of the top 5 militaries in the world, and I think it's arguable to say that Europe would not have been as supportive as quickly as it was of the war, which is the position that the US would have wanted to have, if not for Britain's leadership. Is the US being short-sighted on not trying to maintain that special relationship, even if you think it is a bit of a myth today?
I think you have to break it down into 2 periods. I think the period of the Trump administration up to January 2021, U.S. foreign policy was just in chaos. There just wasn't a coherent approach to foreign relationships, whether that be with the UK, with Europe, with other countries. And we could devote several hours to that. But when the Biden administration came in, it came in as pragmatists who said, all right, we need to come back and deal with adults in the room. Now, the UK is part of that. The UK and the US have got linked since World War II in terms of military agencies, intelligence agencies, in terms of diplomatic services, and of course the Treasury and the Exchequer. But the problem here is if it's always a question of the US and the UK lead and everyone follows, you're going to leave a lot of other countries behind who don't really see the value of working with you. So what the Biden folks are saying is, look, we want to work with the UK, and we work with the EU at the same time. The problem with that pragmatic approach wasn't coming from Washington, it was coming from the UK, because you heard Beth Rigby refer to it. Up until early this year, the UK government effectively put itself in timeout when it threatened to withdraw from the Northern Ireland Protocol. And it wasn't just the Biden administration, it was politicians across Washington, Republicans and Democrats, who said, look, if they're going to jeopardize the security of Northern Ireland and Ireland, how can we work with them on any topic? Now, to Rishi Sunak's credit, he recognized that, and he corrected it with the Windsor Framework, which again showed the pragmatic approach. The UK works with the EU, and the US works with both of them. And I do think that Ukraine has reinforced that. We are on the cusp of a rapidly changing Europe. Not just the UK, but a rapidly changing Europe because of Vladimir Putin's failed gamble to conquer Ukraine. And that means the UK, the EU, NATO, which I'm sure we'll discuss, all of these are having to basically vitalize themselves. And what it means is not a special relationship, but a multilateral approach where everyone has a place in terms of the challenges we face.
And just quickly, and I know you're going to stick around to assess the body language, etc., when the president arrives, but to what extent does the monarchy still allow Britain to maybe only marginally, but to punch above its weight when it comes to foreign relations? As Beth was explaining, really the peg for this trip is for the president to meet the king post his coronation, and that is in itself allowing the prime minister to get a one-on-one just a day before an important group meeting at NATO. Does the monarchy allow the British prime minister to punch above its weight?
Well, first of all, it's a bit of a double-edged possibility, and that is, for example, let's consider first the myth that Joe Biden snubbed the British monarchy when he didn't attend the coronation. He didn't. It is protocol, effectively, from the United States since 1776. As you remember, we got rid of you folks with the War of Independence, that we don't actually serve a British monarch. That's why no U.S. president has ever gone to a coronation. And so that image of the monarchy can stand in the way of the relationship, but today we're going to see the other side of it. Because of King Charles' interest in climate change, which has been well known for decades. Because of his interest on environmental issues and on doing something, the White House can work with that. They can elevate their own interest in terms of a green economy, in terms of renewable and sustainable energy. So when you have an issue where the monarchy is allowed not just simply to be a figurehead, but actually to sort of speak out on an issue, yeah, it still has a place. But of course, most of the time, the way British politics works, the monarch is supposed to be silent on substantial issues, which does mean that I think the image of the monarchy is one thing. The reality of it does make it, I think, a limited presence in U.S.-UK relations.
Scott Lucas, thanks so much for now for joining us, Professor of US and International Politics at University College Dublin's Clinton Institute. As you can see still there, those live pictures, the President has not yet arrived. He's a little bit delayed. It is certainly still expected this hour. We'll have it for you live when the President does reach Downing Street. Moving on for now, representatives from the BBC will meet the Metropolitan Police later today as the broadcaster deals with allegations that an unnamed presenter paid a teenager tens of thousands of pounds for sexually explicit images. The corporation suspended the male member of staff yesterday, but questions remain over the length of time it's taken to act. Let's just take you through a timeline of what we know so far. Well, an initial complaint was reportedly made to the BBC on May the 19th. But the family say that they saw the unnamed presenter on air a month later. The BBC says it received new allegations, which were, it says, of a different nature on Thursday. That's the day before the mother's comments were first reported publicly by The Sun newspaper. Well, yesterday, the Culture Secretary Lucy Fraser revealed she had spoken to the BBC Director General Tim Davie. And just afterwards, the unnamed presenter was suspended. Well, earlier today, the Justice Secretary, Alex Chalk, told Sky News that the issue needs to be sorted as swiftly as possible.
You would expect allegations of that nature to be dealt with very robustly and very promptly. And I think what we're now seeing today is, I understand there's going to be a meeting with the police, and that's absolutely right. And it may be, Kay, that in the fullness of time there will need to be investigation about how this allegation was handled. That's quite possible. But right now, I think it's important in the interests of that victim, of that complainant, that this is dealt with as quickly and fairly and as robustly as possible. So, let's look in the fullness of time about what's happened thus far, but I think it's important to give them the space to get to the bottom of what happened.
Correspondent Katie Spencer joins us live from outside the BBC. And Katie, one thing that's been central to all of this is exactly how long it took the BBC to act. And as reported, the BBC said on Thursday last week it received extra information based on conversations with sources. I do understand that to have been information that suggested the behaviour by the alleged could have been criminal, and that's then what led, of course, to the suspension on Sunday. Either way, there's clearly a big delay, even if the allegations initially weren't as serious, and there's even a small delay from Thursday to Sunday, and I'm sure questions will remain as to why things did take quite as long as they've taken.
The BBC has come under a lot of criticism, accused of dragging its heels over this one, over the time that it has taken to suspend this presenter while it investigates. From the statement that we had from the Director General yesterday, yes, the implication of what's changed in this last week has been that they are now treating this as criminal, and the implication from that you could read into it is perhaps when they were initially contacted about this, they initially treated this as perhaps being a consensual relationship. The reason we are talking about this as being criminal now is because while the age of consent is 16, it is illegal for anyone under the age of 18 for the Child Protection Act to give consent for sharing explicit images like this. So if proven, this is a criminal offence. And the BBC now is keen to stress that they are talking to police. They are due to be meeting, they say the representatives are due to be meeting the Met Police a little later today. But look, there's so many different issues to talk around surrounding this as well. The issues around why we are not naming this presenter in question for defamation reasons, but also for issues surrounding privacy laws as well. But while the Sun has said that this is a BBC presenter on a six-figure salary, of course that does limit the number of people that we are talking about, and it does raise questions about how long this presenter in question can remain anonymous for. And throughout the course of the weekend since this story has broken, we've seen a number of leading figures on the BBC take to social media to effectively say, look, this is absolutely not me. We do not want to be associated with this story. People like Five Live's Nicky Campbell, who is back presenting this morning and who over the weekend announced that he's actually in fact been in contact with police over some of the social media tweets that he's received in relationship to this. And on his show today, he's spoken about the fact that he will later today be talking to police about this with regards to the defamation that he's experienced with this case. And here's what he said about the response that he's had on social media.
A bit of perspective here. Worse things happen at sea, as they say. But it was a distressing weekend. I can't deny it, for me and others falsely named. Today, I'm having further conversations with the police in terms of malicious communication and with lawyers in terms of defamation.
One of the other reasons why this is so important really for the BBC to set out exactly what it's doing, the exact timeline of this, is issues surrounding transparency. And once again the BBC has become the story. We were speaking about issues surrounding transparency because of course it's only very recently that the BBC chairman Richard Sharp has resigned over the Boris Johnson loan scandal. So again, here we are having the conversation, the BBC itself becoming the story because it doesn't appear to be at the moment being completely transparent about what it's known and when.
Katie Spencer, as ever, thank you so much for that. So we're going to talk more about the BBC story in a moment, but meantime, let's just bring you those live pictures that we've just got coming in. This is President Biden moments ago, in fact, leaving Winfield House, of course, where he spent the night. He touched down in London Stansted Airport last evening and spent the night at the residence of the US ambassador to London, Winfield House, which is in Regent's Park, North London area, and he's now making the journey, of course, to Downing Street, and will have his arrival at 10 Downing Street, where he'll be greeted by the Prime Minister on the red carpet, possibly also Larry the Cat if he's still there, as he was moments ago, and we'll have that for you live shortly. Let's pivot back, though, to the BBC story we were just discussing there with Katie Spencer. I'm going to bring in now David Banks. He's a leading media lawyer, trainer and consultant. Thanks so much for joining us, David. I just want to touch, first of all, that question we just touched on with Katie. Why is this, explain to the layman, potentially a criminal allegation?
Well, there's lots of things going on. It depends on the nature of the messages that were sent at the weekend. And the thing with social media is that people sometimes have no sense of restraint. If some of those people sending messages to presenters have sent messages that were a series of messages that might count as harassment, or messages that might cause harassment, alarm or distress, then you are getting into the realms of Communications Act offences and criminal matters, which the police may take a look at. Depends on the content of the messages, how many messages was sent, and the way they were phrased and things like this. So that's a possibility of a criminal prosecution of some of the people sending messages to presenters at the weekend.
Interesting, David. That's not actually what I meant, but that's excellent and important clarification anyway. My question about the potential criminality relates to the BBC presenter and the alleged activity there. Just talk us through what the laws are, given that the alleged victim was 17, clearly above 16, and why that still could fall under the realm of being illegal behaviour by the alleged BBC presenter.
That's right. The age of consent is 16, but for certain matters, the law gives additional protection to those teenagers between the ages of 16 and 18, where they might have the of an age of consent, but for the sharing, creation of images, of sexualized images, that itself is a criminal offence. So possessing these images of someone below the age of 18 but over the age of 16 is still a criminal offence, and that might be what the police are looking into.
And just let's touch on, which relates to the first topic we were discussing, the fact that this presenter has still not been named. In an internal email to staff, the Director General Tim Davies said, by law, individuals are entitled to a reasonable expectation of privacy, which is making the situation more complex. Do you ultimately agree with that framing of things and their decision to keep the name of the alleged presenter private?
I think in the first instance they are correct, and it's basically a legal precedent that was established by the BBC in its coverage of Sir Cliff Richard. And that case and subsequent cases established that people being investigated for offences, that people being even arrested for offences in some circumstances, have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, it's that question then of at what point is there no longer a reasonable expectation of privacy? So it really does depend what happens next. There is also a public interest defence to breaching privacy in certain circumstances, and no doubt the media, yourselves and others, once looking at this, will be carefully considering whether they, in the circumstances, believe it is in the public interest to identify this individual.
I'm interested about how long it's taken for them to suspend, let's say, the accused presenter, because if it took till Thursday for them to get enough information to believe that there might have been criminal behaviour, is that firstly enough to have waited to act if it was just alleged that initially perhaps they felt it was lurid behaviour but not criminal behaviour? And then the second part of that question is then there's still a delay, a shorter delay between Thursday and Sunday when the presenter was indeed suspended. What do you make about those timings?
Well, of course, we don't know all of the background to this, and we don't know whether there are other issues, other factors which are playing into the BBC's decision-making process along the line. That is part of the problem of this story, is we simply don't know exactly what's going to happen. We've seen allegations in the Sun. We haven't seen any sort of very much information from the BBC. So. That delay is something that they may well have to answer for, and even if the initial delay was in some way explainable, the delay between Thursday and Sunday might be less easy to explain, although of course it was a shorter delay. But I think a lot of people from other organisations looking at this might well be saying, well, if that was happening in my company, the person would have been suspended as a neutral act, as it's often phrased, a long time ago, while the matter was resolved, that they wouldn't be left in position. And so I guess the BBC in due course will have to answer as to why they didn't take an action which many other organisations might have taken in those circumstances.
Of course, the timing of the publication of the Sun article on Friday doesn't help the BBC in the fact that it hasn't answered those questions yet, as if it was bounced into action is certainly a question on people's minds. Oddly, just coming back to what we're talking about and the right to privacy here of various individuals involved. If this was a less severe accusation and you were advising this particular company on what to do, would things have been named and made public much quicker, much sooner? It's almost like you want to get ahead of things, but because it's so serious, oddly, it makes it harder to name, and not so much name and shame, you get the gist of my question, but make some of these details public and try and move forward from the whole issue.
Well, yeah, the severity of the accusation is going to play into it. The idea of privacy protecting people in these circumstances means that they have an expectation that an accusation which proves to be false, for instance, doesn't then have as severe an impact on their reputation and their privacy as it would if it was revealed. Now, if it's a less severe accusation, it isn't going to have that damaging effect, and so the argument that it needs to remain private is lessened, not diminished completely, though. For these very sort of public figures, even low-level accusations can be seriously damaging to them because of the scrutiny they have from the public, because of the way that they're held in public esteem.
And just finally, because we're going to pivot back to Downing Street shortly for the arrival of President Biden to meet Prime Minister Sunak, does the fact that the BBC is publicly funded change any of this, either under the law or in reality, in your advice to people from a comms perspective? Should they have always expected that the scrutiny would be greater, would be louder, and that government ministers, as has been the case with Lucy Fraser, would get involved and comment?
Yeah, I think government is perfectly entitled to ask what's going on, given the status of the BBC. The BBC is different. We all have a stake in the BBC. We're all licence payers. The BBC is essential to our national life, and so it is going to attract a level of scrutiny that other organisations might not, and might not expect. But the BBC ought to anticipate this level of people who are its very central presenters, its main presences in the national consciousness.
David Banks, thanks so much for joining us to discuss that story, and we will be continuing the BBC analysis, of course, throughout the day here, and talking to Jonathan Shalit, a leading media agent, coming up later on the show. Just want to show you again the pictures of President Biden leaving Winfield House. That's the US ambassador's to London's residence in Regent's Park, North London. That was about 10 minutes or so ago, and he's making the journey now through London from Regent's Park towards Whitehall and Downing Street itself. You can see there a live picture of Downing Street. Let's return to it and to our Beth Rigby, political editor, who joins me now ahead of this arrival. And Beth, just recap for us again, what are the agenda items that we're expecting the two leaders to be discussing, and what is meant to be a 30-minute, 60-minute long meeting?
Yeah, this is not a big bilateral meeting, if you like. I would describe this as the warm-up act before the big business of the day, which is when President Biden meets with King Charles. President Biden didn't come to the coronation. Jill Biden came with some family members, and so this is the moment really he comes to meet King Charles. He's coming en route to NATO in Lithuania, and he'll head there later today. This is the seventh meeting of these two leaders in 6 months, so they've seen a lot of each other. And in terms of what's on the agenda, I've been told it will be more discussion on Ukraine, on NATO, ahead of the summit tomorrow. There is obviously this tension over the US's decision to supply cluster bombs to Ukraine. Biden making that decision, saying that it's not an easy decision to make, but that Ukraine is running low on weaponry. Obviously, the UK and many other countries are signatories of not using cluster bombs. But will Rishi Sunak bring that up directly with the president? I don't know. I haven't been told that he explicitly will raise it. It might be that he doesn't want to, make, how do I put it, to sort of highlight differences between these two men. So I think Ukraine will be on the agenda, perhaps artificial intelligence again. I've also been told that the Prime Minister will want to talk more about the Atlantic Declaration. That was an agreement signed by the two leaders in Washington last month to strengthen security and diplomatic ties. It's getting a bit lively. I think the gates have opened, and the President will imminently be arriving in his car. He'll park slightly just down Downing Street, and then he will walk up. You can see the red carpet out there. Now, this is the first time he's actually visited number 10 as president. He's obviously been here a number of times in different roles that he's had, not least being the vice president, but this will be the first time he comes as the leader of the US. And for Rishi Sunak, it's always always a great thing to have FaceTime with the President of the United States. So he's no doubt delighted that President Biden chose to have a stop-off visit in the UK ahead of that all-important NATO summit tomorrow.
And Beth, just as well remind us, because we're going to be watching very closely these arrival pictures that, as you say, are expected any moment now. There's no press conference. I'm sure you will, as always, shout some questions and see if we can get some responses as they greet each other. But we'll be focused very much on their body language as they greet each other.
Yes, and they're just arriving now, so I'm gonna duck out of the way, and the convoy is just here, and I'm sure the body language between the two will be warm. You can see all of the cars now coming in, the presidential convoy. He also always brings his vehicles there. You can see
the very large vehicles, which themselves cause a problem in what is a very small street in Downing Street, so it's stopping a little bit short of number 10 there, as Beth mentioned, and the Beast, as it's called, always travels with the President, given the scale of protection it offers that can't seemingly be replicated by foreign cars in the views of the US. There was a couple of British-looking cars like the Range Rovers and Jaguars escorting otherwise fleet of US vehicles. And Beth, I'm sure you can see better than us now. The final part of the journey now doesn't require the escort, but they are still driving that short remaining distance, it seems, at a very slow pace, Beth.
Yeah, and actually, when President Trump came to Downing Street, when Theresa May was Prime Minister, the First Lady and the President, they also arrived in the Beast, and they parked just about where it is. So the security personnel are just checking the street. You can imagine huge amounts of security this morning. Whitehall has been closed off. It's very quiet here. Well, it's not anymore because we've also got a chopper above us now, and we're just waiting for the President to emerge. As I said, they're just checking everything out, and then President Biden will imminently be at the street, and the Prime Minister will come out. You can see the red carpet is all ready for him. Larry the cat did come out, but he was picked up and sent back inside. He's not going to be on the doorstep this morning.
But I like that he was the first to step on the red carpet. It does sort of imply that Larry himself thought the red carpet was for him.
We all know who's the boss around here,
exactly.
And it's Larry the cat.
Just mention there that the lady you could see there on the left of your picture in white is Jane Hartley. She's the US ambassador to the UK, and of course was hosting the President last night at Winfield House, her official residence in Regent's Park, where they've just made the short journey from. And this is, Beth, as we've been discussing, this is the first time the President has come to Downing Street itself as President, albeit it is not the first time he's been to the UK since becoming President on the 1st of in January 2021. He's been to the UK now 5 times since becoming President, and has met the Prime Minister 6 or 7 times in various occasions in the last 6 or 7 months. And as much as we've been discussing whether or not UK-US relations are at their peak of the last few decades, it's clear that Prime Minister Sunak has made a massive effort to at least improve things and get the President back on a warm footing in a way that maybe had been a little bit under threat under previous recent leaderships.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fair to say that the relationship was pretty scratchy with Boris Johnson and Liz Truss. Brexit was not wanted by the US. They wanted their close ally, the UK, to remain part of the European Union. They were very unhappy about the post-Brexit trading difficulties in Northern Ireland and the knock-on effect of the potentially to the Good Friday Agreement. Prime Minister Sunak worked very hard to rebuild relations with the European Union. The car door is just opening now. Made big efforts to rebuild relations, and I think it has paid off. There seems to be a warmth between these two gentlemen. There's a bigger strategic question about how important geopolitically the UK is to the US now we are not members of the EU anymore. Here he comes, President Biden.
Indeed, Beth, and extraordinary actually the scale of security operation, even in Downing Street, where everyone has to be so well cleared to even be there. But here comes the President, a warm smile on his face, both arms out as he presumably has just seen Prime Minister Sunak, and a little skip in his step and a very broad smile. Beth, just talk us through there, if you can hear anything, but certainly a very warm greeting between the two men.
Yeah, very, very warm. You can hear all the press now shouting. There's a huge bank of camera, and in they go. And then you can see some of the security detail, and then the press packs. I don't know if you can see this all. This is everyone running in because they will now be covering the top of the bilateral. So everyone running through, and then you can see the delegation, as you said, the ambassador there, and there's the US delegation now, all coming in. A big delegation, isn't it?
It is indeed. And Beth, I'm just interested as well, just to go back now, obviously, as we've said, it was originally expected for about a 30 or 40 minute meeting, and things have been delayed a bit. So that would take us to about 11:15, 11:20 if they stick to that length of meeting. But I wonder if there's any surprises, because there's not going to be many headlines on
SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Star Radio.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well, Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Looking for a new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. We don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Have fun.
Radio show.
Stay blessed.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Starr Radio. This is UK. Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands. The hand that made me who I am.
And that is how I say a massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and say welcome to the Monday edition of the morning show. So let's start off the program. You find out that from the flyers, we know how Mr. Lai Miko a kid there, and I'm coming a bit late, and so you have to understand. Well, Nigeria hasn't happened to us, but we are a bit under the weather, and therefore it's just going to be a sneak view of what you need to know today. So don't you worry at all. From now to 12 o'clock, I'm going to crack on and just bring you everything that we need to know, and then we can bring the curtains down for the end of the program. But once again, I say thank you very much for tuning in wherever you might be. To Mr. Laimi Koiki is chilling out this morning because it's been a bit under the weather and he needs to recuperate. Yomi, good morning to you and to the family there as well. To Mr. Francis Guy, my able producer who was pulling all the strings whilst I was on my way trying to get here and doing all sorts, and did everything well to get a program this morning. I salute you, sir.
All of you makes my heart.
Also, let me say good morning to HRH Linda Pali and all the way in Cyprus and the family there as well. Yasan to a good morning to you, Mr. Palias. And let me say morning to Bishop Addition and my Bishop. Yes. I hope you are doing very, very well. And to all the staff at the RBS office, I salute each and every one of you. Now to you who tune in this morning, Anthony G, Aziz, Olakunle, Moyiwa, Maxwell, and all you, I salute you all. And so welcome to the program.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay. Now from now to as I said 12 o'clock, I'll be bringing you everything that you need to know. My apologies for those of you on the Facebook. I think there's a bit of disruption in the signal there, and that's all. Therefore, the pictures seem to be not moving swiftly there. But just bear with me. As I did say, Nigeria has not happened to us, but we have been under the weather, so everybody is trying their best to make sure that we do things accordingly. But I salute each and every one of you on the YouTube channel as well. Thank you very, very much.
In your hands, the hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes
okay, so as I said, just bear with me. Okay, let me crack on because we pressed with time already, and there's lots of interruption on the Facebook link. Just bear with me, please. Just bear with us. Okay, the quote for the day says, the future you see is the future you will create. The future you see is the future you create. And I remember in the good book, God asks Abraham, so what do you see? As far as you see, that's how you're going to get. Well, so what do you see? The future that you see is what you are going to create. Alright then, moving on straight to the weather forecast. As I'll tell you briefly what is happening today.
Love for you runs things.
For those of you in London and the southeast of England, this is how the weather is going to be for you. This afternoon we'll see sunny spells and areas of cloud, but cloud cover will be more extensive later. Conditions should remain largely dry. And tonight we'll see some clear spells to start, but it will become increasingly cloudy overnight with spells of rain, possibly heavy at times, developing towards dawn.
Till the end, you are God, one who took my pain, took away my shame.
Now when it comes to the evening weather tonight we'll see some clear spells to start, but it will become increasingly cloudy overnight with spells of rain, possibly heavy at times, developing towards dawn. The temperature is going to be 23 degrees, the lower is going to be 17 degrees. Pollen level is going to be high, UV level is going to be moderate, and pollution is going to be low. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 10:55. My Bishop, good morning to you once again.
Holy, holy.
Okay, let's take a quick break and I'll bring you the travel update. Stay tuned, don't you go away. It's going to be a snappy hour program, so just stay tuned, don't you go away at all.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I'm keeping updated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio travel update. I come to where every weekday from 10:40 to coming your way. My apologies for those of you on the Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is out, but Facebook, I think there's been a bit of flickering there, but just bear with us. Well, my Bishop Adesina is sharing the weather forecast with us where he is in Lagos, Nigeria. He says it is very wet here. Showers of rain this morning. May that showers of rain be a showers of blessing for every one of you there listening to us as well. Starr Radio UK. Okay, now moving on straight. Pastor Mo, good morning to you as well. Now, on the underground this morning, good service throughout DLR, London Tram Link, London Overground, good service there. Now, move on straight to the major roads in London and A13 Central London Red Route, North Circular A406 has all got serious delays. The River Bus as well has got good service throughout, apart from the Woolwich Ferry that's got a reduced service. The London Cable Car is running a good service there, and that brings us to the final segment of the travel update, that is the National Rail. On the National Rail, Cross Country, First Transparent Express, Gatwick Express, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern Railway, and Southern Railways are all running minor delays. That aside, all the rest, good service there. On that note, I will say it once again as I normally do. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Looking for a new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm yours sincerely, Archie, the one and only Archie this morning. And as you know, I'm always here with my colleague, co-presenter Mr. Olaimi Koiki, but he will not be able to join us this morning since he's a bit under the weather. His voice is a bit croaky. We need to just nurture it nicely so that by tomorrow or the day, he will be very good and very well to come and join us so that he doesn't lose his voice, right? That is the only what do you call it, equipment that we have that was given to us by God. So that why we nurture it very well. All right then. So now let's move on to some of the stories making the rounds as pertaining to the headlines making the rounds across the globe. And as you know, we started from Nigeria, where some of the stories making the round this morning. Tinubu emerges ECOWAS chairman. And lots of people congratulatory messages to him about we'll see what is going to happen. Is it going to bring about any change there at all? The Abacha loot, Obasanjo, Buhari, Jonathan get fresh ultimatum from court. What is all that about? We'll tell you more about that. Do they have to cough up as well? The former President Buhari reacts to Tinubu's emergence as ECOWAS chairman. Okay. Yes, after all, Nigeria is the biggest when it comes to Africa population-wise. It is as well. And when it comes to ECOWAS, it stands tall amongst all the nations there. So maybe, who knows? Don't disrupt election court proceedings. Article's aide warns Tinubu's supporters. Are they invading the court premises to make sure that, well, this is what we want and that's what's supposed to be? G5, Wike must serve in Tinubu's government. Fayoshe is saying, will Tinubu do that? Well. Some of stories making the rounds there as well. An ex-ASU president declared missing, found in Turkey. Where was he missing from? Is it his real image? Or as you say, some AI developed or anything of the sort? We'll be telling you more about that as well. And where is Mon's former president, General? And then what other story? Appoint chartered accountants as cabinet members. ICAN urges Tinubu. Why? Is it because they are more accountable in their profession and therefore they will be able to see to organize things properly and make sure that nothing goes wrong there? Well. Pipeline vandalism. Ipman warns on non-functioning depots for 10 years. Urges action on Ijigbo incident. So this and a lot more will be bringing your way wherever you are. Don't you go away. It is Star Radio, okay? It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, interestingly, when it comes to the African story, now you remember the coronation of King Charles. We had an African head of state or president coming in, though he suffered stroke. I asked the question the following day that didn't he have anybody who he could delegate or to represent him? Why did he have to come and be, virtually showing that he was not well? Is it something that maybe he was trying to do for us to all understand that, well, there are people in our midst who are not well, but that doesn't mean that the fact that you are not well doesn't mean that you can't function. Is that what he was trying to depict? But no. Lo and behold, the president of Gabon, Ali Bongo Ondimba, has announced on Sunday that he will be seeking a third term in power. The president took over from his father, Omar Bongo Ondimba, in 2009 and was narrowly re-elected in 2016. He went on further to say, dear compatriots, now fellow Gabonese, to continue to write this history of this future together, because nothing matters more than success of our country, because nothing matters more than your success. I am officially announcing here today that I am a candidate, announced the president during a rally. The failure of the opposition to agree on a single candidate for the presidential election left some 15 candidates to announce their intention to stand on the August 26th election. I have strong personal conviction we can replicate our greatest achievement on issues that are a priority for you, for me, and for our country, by fighting together for the jobs that give meaning to life, to bring down the cost of living, to make everyday life easier for ourselves and our families. Promise Ali Bongo. Now the question is, the presidential ballot will coincide with the election of the National Assembly and regional local councils. Gabon is one of the richest countries in Africa in terms of per capita, that's income, or per capita GDP, due largely to its oil revenue and relatively small population of 2.3 million. It's quite an interesting one. It's quite an interesting one there. But what do you think? What do you think? Ali Bongo going again? Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Some other stories making the rounds there as well. Just bear with me. So, in Ghana as well, those of you watching us live on the Facebook, my apologies. I think we're having some issues there. Stop start. I'm not very sure exactly what is going on, but my able producer is working on it, so we will be able to sort it out. But as I said, we okay. Not that we are Nigeria has happened to us. No. But a bit under the weather, and therefore it's going to be a snappy one. So we're going to be just bringing you a couple of other stories, making the rounds. This time in Ghana. And then we'll move on. Ghanaians in the US who shot 2 family members arrested after 13-hour standoff with police. A Ghanaian in the US. It's one of the stories that I wanted to touch on. It's a very sad one there. What happened to the person? Is it that the person was suffering from mental ailment? What is all that about? I'm going to be telling you more about that in a jiffy. So stay tuned. Don't you go away. Now, when it comes to the UK front, now, a government calls for clarity on BBC investigation into a presenter. The Home Secretary says the facts still need to be established, but prompt action must be taken to find who and what. But the the BBC is being very careful this time around not to name any person without doing the due diligence. So no one is being named. And also we have President Joe Biden meeting Rishi Sunak today, and King Charles as well. On his visit, a snappy visit to the UK as well, on his way to some conference there. And those of you who are planning to embark on the holidays, well, EasyJet has cancelled 1,700 flights from July to September. So you need to check it out, so you don't happen to be one who have missed your opportunity to travel or to go on holidays. Now, moving on straight, some of the stories making the rounds in the world. Boat carrying 200 migrants missing near Canaries. The aid group Walking Border says many children are on board the missing boat, which departed from Senegal. Okay, and Poland strengthened Belarus border over Wagner fears. The prospect of Russian Wagner mercenaries moving to Belarus causes concerns across the Polish border. But what is going to happen there? It's Starr Radio UK. And Zelensky honors Poles massacred by Ukrainians in World War II. It says Ukraine's leader seeks to heal a deep historical wound with his Polish counterpart at a church service there as well. And top US senator calls for prime energy drink probe to be so. Now Chuck Schumer alleges the drink is being targeted at children despite its high caffeine content. What do you think about all that? Lots more going to be coming your way from China as well. Children among 6 dead in China kindergarten stabbing. A very sad one there. A man has been arrested over the deaths of 3 children, a teacher and 2 parents. This and a lot more going to be coming your way. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take this music break, and once we come back, I'll bring you what is happening from Nigeria. This is from Akosia Owusua, who was a guest on KB Bosman's program, The Faith Talk, yesterday, and that is his latest single, Glorious God. Enjoy it, and I'll be with you.
You the glory to you. Take it all today. You are Lord, you are Lord, you are Lord, you rule. Give all the glory to you. Take it all now. Give all the glory to you. Take it all now. Glorious God, you can, you gave. Creator, you provide all I need. Glorious God, you can, you gave.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
All I need. Take it over now. Take it over now. Take it over now. Take it over now. Glorious God, you can, you gave. Creator, you provide all I need.
This is Starr Radio UK.
You can, you gave. Creator, you provide all.
Well, something from Kosia Owusuya, Glorious God. Yes, it's a newly recorded single that has been released. And therefore, wherever you are, we hope that you get to YouTube or whatever platform that is being played on or advertised on, and then get your hands on it and enjoy it. It's a very, very wonderful tune there. By this Starr Radio UK, as I did say, we're just crashing everything in, mashing everything together, and at 12 o'clock we bring the program to a close due to a bit under the weather. That's why we don't have Mr. Olaimi Koiki with us, but you can share with us what is happening in your area. Now let me bring you what is happening from Nigeria with updates from Nigeria at 12 minutes past 11. Felix, let me say good morning to you. Kojodi, good morning. Now, Tinubu has emerged ECOWAS chairman in a unanimous endorsement that signals the trust and confidence reposed in him by his counterparts. President Bola Tinubu emerged as the new chairman of the Economic Community of West Africa States at the 63rd Ordinary Session of the Authority of Head of States and Government on Sunday in Guinea-Bissau. Now, President Tinubu, who is the latest entrant into the exclusive club of heads of state in West Africa, enthusiastically accepted the honor on behalf of Nigeria with a solemn pledge to bear the responsibility of the office and run an inclusive administration of the regional organization. Now, the Nigerian leader, however, warned that the threat to peace in the sub-region had reached an alarming proportion, with terrorism an emerging pattern of military takeover that now demand urgent and concerted action. He said insecurity and creeping terrorism were stunting the progress and development of the Nigeria, of the region. Yes. Okay, and he said that President Tinubu called for collective action from member states, pledging that under his leadership, framework will be harmonized to actualize the dreams of ECOWAS. On peace and security, the threat has reached an alarming level and needs urgent actions in addressing the challenges. Indeed, without a peaceful environment, progress and development in the region will continue to remain elusive. In this regard, we must remain committed to the utilization of all regional frameworks at our disposal to address the menace of insecurity. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 14 minutes past the top of the hour. Now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds. Anthony Adedeji, massive good morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well, and thanks for joining in as well. Now moving on straight to some of the other stories making the rounds. in relation to Tinubu emerging as the ECOWAS chairman, the former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed his congratulations to President Bola Tinubu following his election as a new chairman of the Economic Community of West African States. Now, reports coming in through said that Buhari spokesman Malam Garba Shehu, the news of Tinubu's election was announced during the 63rd ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS held in the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. Now, Shehu commented on Tinubu's new role within ECOWAS, saying, former President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his emergence as the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States, that's the ECOWAS. The former president expressed his delight upon hearing the news of Tinubu's election during the session held in Bissau, the capital of Guinea-Bissau. Now, Buhari emphasized the significant responsibility placed on Tinubu's shoulders by the West African community and urged citizens to support him, ensuring he does not disappoint. Buhari further stated, I pray that Almighty will guide Tinubu's tenure as chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government, leading to the restoration of ECOWAS as a stronghold of democracy, good governance, and leader in combating terrorism and climate change across the continent. Well. It is your updates from Nigeria coming your way. Now, when we talk about Abacha loot, well, Abacha loot, Obasanjo, Buhari, Jonathan get fresh ultimatum from court. What are they talking about there? The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the disclosure of the spending details of about $5 billion Abacha loot recovered by the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the court ordered President Bola Tinubu's government to disclose the amount of money General Sani Abacha stole from Nigeria. It also said that the total amount of Abacha loot recovered and all agreements signed by the government of former President Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari should be made known to the public. Now, Justice James Kulawole Omotosho delivered this verdict following a Freedom of Information suit filed by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. Now, reading the judgment, Justice Omotosho noted that in the final analysis, the application of SERAP is meritorious, and federal government through Ministry of Finance is hereby ordered to furnish SERAP with the full spending details of about 5 billion Abacha loot within 7 days of this judgment. Oh my God, let's see what happens on that. And I can tell you that God willing, once we have Mr. Olaimi Koiki on tomorrow, once he is much better, hopefully keeping fingers and everything crossed, and I feel good as well, we'll be looking into that. That ultimatum that has been given to them, will they be able to honor it? Who knows? Only God knows. It is Starr Radio UK updates from Nigeria. Don't disrupt election court proceedings. Article 8 warns Tinubu supporters. Now, we know that this tribunal is going on, is still sitting, and we have issues going on there. However, it's been said that following their recent protest march at the European Union head office in Abuja, after the release of European Union Observer Mission's report, supporters of the All Progressive Congress and President Bola Tinubu has been cautioned to stay away from the Presidential Election Petition Court and not to attempt to disrupt the proceedings. Frank Shaibu, the Special Assistant on Public Communications to the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Congress, Atiku Abubakar, gave the warning in a statement he issued on Sunday. He said the warning became imperative following what he observed as the sponsored protest of the EU office after the release of EU EOM report, which contained the 2023 election was marred by irregularities. Now, Shaibu stated, we seize this opportunity to send a warning to the Tinubu government against disrupting the proceedings of the election tribunal, as they have shown a clear disdain for the truth by picketing the EU office. So they think that, well, if they done that, what are the chances that they will not come and picket at the tribunal where the tribunal is sitting. But it's all coming away from Star Radio UK. 19 minutes past the top of the hour. The time, as I said, today we just cramming it all in a bit under the weather, lying me under the weather, and all that. I'm just bringing you some of the story that is put across that for me to share, and I'll just bring you summary of others, and then at 12 o'clock we'll bring the program to a close. So please just bear with us. Now we make Wike myself in Tinubu's government. That's what Fayose is saying. Now, former Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State said former Governor Nyesom Wike of River State has what it takes to be a minister, saying Wike must serve in the President Tinubu's government. But Wike doesn't belong to the president's party. Okay, would you think that his party members will allow or agree to that? The APC allowing that you bring somebody from PDP there? The former Ekiti governor noted that members of the G5 or integrity group within the People's Democratic Party should be appreciated by Tinubu for the role they played in his victory at the February 25th presidential election. Speaking on Wike as potential minister in Tinubu's cabinet, Fayose said, "What is wrong with that? How is anybody affected by that? I don't want to be minister, but if Asiwaju Tinubu says, Fayose, you will be minister, and I agree, what is the headache? Now I want Wike to be in cabinet. Wike has what it takes to serve Nigeria. Wike is an articulate capacity person Nigeria needs, an average bad person. I support Wike. If Asiwaju finds him or any of the G5 worthy, please serve in Asiwaju's government." In a quote, he continued to say, "I will be disappointed if Asiwaju does not equally appreciate them for what they stand to represent. Now Wike must serve. Wike is still a young man. I'm his senior brother. We can't deny that. Wike is an asset to Nigeria. Wike is never timid. He confronts challenges. Asiwaju needs a man like Wike." But can you just imagine Asiwaju brings somebody like Wike into his fold and he makes noise? The APC are going to say, "Shush, this is not your party. This is what we are trying to do." So do you think it's going to be fair on Nigerians as a whole? That's quite an interesting one. But it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds there as well. Okay. Now Heinz as morning the former President General. Now Apex Igbo Social Cultural Organization Heinz Ndigbo yesterday expressed sadness over the death of its former President General Professor Joe Iroko. National Publicity Secretary Dr. Alex Ogbonia in a statement said Heinz has received with rude shock news of the passing of one of his brightest and accomplished legal luminary, epitome of morality, insurance and risk management wizard, erudite scholar of world-renowned Igbo leader and former President General of Ohanze Ndigbo, Professor Joe Ogbonna Iroko. We say may his soul rest in perfect peace. Star Radio UK, it is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bring you the final story and then we can move on. The pipeline vandalism, Ipman warns on non-functioning depots for 10 years, urges action on Ejigbo incident. Now, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has raised concerns that the increased rate of incidents of pipeline vandalism in the southwest region has seen some depots stop operations for over 10 years. This was disclosed by the chairman, Ipman Southwest Alhaji Dele Tajuddin, in an interview in Ibadan on Sunday, following an attempt by hoodlums to steal petroleum products at the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, pipeline at Idimu, Olimosho Local Council Development Area of Lagos. Now, Idimu serves as one of the key routes for the pipeline leading to the Lagos satellite depot. And the disruption caused by vandalism poses a significant challenge to the smooth functioning of the depot and exacerbates the operational difficulty. My apologies, faced by fuel marketers in the region. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. You can see, as I did say, that struggling, but we thank God Nigeria is not happening to us, and it's not happening to you as well. So this is why I bring the update from Nigeria to a close for today. God willing, as I did say, we might have Mr. Olaimi Koiki joining us tomorrow once he is also up well and kicking, and we'll bring you everything that you need to know. But for now, let's take this musical break and let me have a sip of water, and I will be with you. But the question is, how has the three heads of states or presidents, or four of them, Jonathan, Buhari, what's the name of the other one, Obasanjo and Yar'Adua, how did they dissipate? How did they disperse? How did they spend the Abacha loot? So the Zongo man will sum it up nicely for us, and it says, where is the dollar? Enjoy it, and I'll be with you.
Radio show.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Give gorilla bananas to give to monkey. Yes, I know. If no go see banana, he no go banana. Monkey no go see banana, he no go banana.
is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat to reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat to reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I did say, we are discussing everything together so that we bring the program to close because we didn't want to miss out on seeing you or having this chat with you, and therefore we had to force to bring the program on. Yes, so in the next 28 minutes I'll bring the whole program to a close. So yes, please bear with me. Just bear with me. All right then. So now let's move on to other parts of the African continent as well, and let's see what is happening there as well. I did talk about Oman Bongo, who was at the event. He was at the event of the coronation of the King Charles III, and a few things that happened there. We saw that he wasn't well, okay, but he's saying that he's going to be running for another term, a third term. So I'm asking the question, what's wrong? Well. Another breaking story coming through at the moment. That was yesterday. Gunmen killed 24 villagers in latest attack in Nigeria's hard-hit north. But we'll be bringing more of that as the day unfolds there. Now, when it comes to some of the stories making the round this morning on the African continent, as I did say earlier on, in Gabon's capital, Libreville, locals reacted to the news that President Ali Bongo will seek a third term in election August 26. Ali Ben is going to win because he has created equal opportunities. He has found work for the Gabonese and he has reduced unemployment in Gabon, said Oliver Mbango, a student. For some, Bongo will win in August's presidential election because of his record on employment and country's economic development. My apologies there. Then it goes on further to say, now Bongo has been in power for 14 years since taking over from his father, Omar Bongo Odimba, in 2009. His father had ruled for 41 years. His narrow election in 2016 against rival Jemping sparked violence in the capital when sections of the opposition claimed the results were fixed. For Frank Ogadanga, an unemployed 31-year-old, Bongo's re-election is not guaranteed. I don't think he has a chance of winning unless he uses force again, like in 2016. If it's at the ballot box, then the people of Gabon won't vote for him, says Ogadanga. Now, Gabon is one of Africa's richest countries in terms of capita GDP, and its wealth is due in large parts to its oil revenues and its relatively small population of 2.3 million people. Well, so that is what is happening there. Do you think that Omar Bongo should go again? Ali Bongo, that was Omar Bongo. I'm trying to see what let me see what it says. Let's see what it says pertaining to that. Is it that he's now fit, all right, to now come to continue? Okay. So, 8 past president. Okay. All right. So that is why he's trying to go on that part. Okay, I'm trying to get some pictures of him, yeah, where he suffered a stroke, but he's still recouping, and he thinks that he's going to be going on. But do you think that whatever it is, why doesn't he go take things easy? Why doesn't he go take things easy? But well, it looks like that is the path that he's chosen, and he's going to pursue it. So, will the people give him the victory that he wants? It's all Starr Radio, okay? It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right then. Moving on straight to maybe one other story from the African front before we touch something on Ghana as well. Just bear with me. Now, one from Zimbabwe. Now, the Zimbabwean opposition party has condemned a ban by the police to hold rally. Why can't they hold rallies? Is it because of the COVID or why? The spokesman for the Zimbabwean opposition Citizen Coalition for Change party reacted to the police thwarting a rallying plan for Sunday. You can try and ban us from stadium, but you can't ban us from the hearts of the people, and Zimbabwean citizens are determined and ready for a change, she said. Now, political temperatures are rising in the run-up to what is expected to be a tense vote in August 23 in a country that has been ruled by one political party, ZANU-PF, since independence from Britain 43 years ago. Now, Zimbabwe police on Friday thwarted a planned weekend opposition campaign rally over lack of toilets and unsuitable roads to the venue, the latest in the series of bans. Now, couldn't they have gotten a better excuse to stop them from pursuing this? And saying that, well, there are no toilets there, and the roads that people are going to be traveling on are not very good. They are not more trouble, so we don't want it to come. So, protecting them. Really interesting. Well, I already saw Starr Radio UK. My apologies for the way I am going today, but just bear with me. Well, demolition of structures. Now, flooding hole, Municipal Assembly is to commence demolition exercise today. The question is it that they have a blueprint, or the town assembly, the Municipal Assembly has got their own planning permission, town planning commission that is up and running, because they are supposed to see that if somebody says that a parcel of land is theirs and they want to build something there, they are allowed to do so. But I don't see anything of any one of them doing what they're supposed to, and then they'll come out to come and say all this. But well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, God will destroy all who destroy the environment. From Pom Boating now trying to bring God into the equation so that people will know. Well, they will think that if people are killing to make money for themselves, so when they go to the environment or mining and doing also destroying the environment, what do they care? But accomplish cardiothoracic surgeon and former Minister of Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, has sounded a word of caution, calling the judgment of God on all persons destroying rivers, forests, and natural habitats. Now, the former minister made the emphatic pronouncement backed with scriptures at the breakfast meeting held by the Kumasi chapter of the Full Gospel Business Men's Fellowship to mark its 40th anniversary in the Ashanti region. Revelations 11:18 says, "The nations are angry because your wrath has come. The time has come for you to punish the dead and to reward your servants, the prophets and saints who revere you." Wow. It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I did say earlier on, please just continue to bear with me as we're having a bit of a challenge. They sorted it out and I told them to bring it back on, but it seems that it's not working well. It's not working well. That is the Twitter. Okay, that seems to be affecting the Facebook as well. So those of you watching us on Facebook, my sincere apologies for the abruptness of the pictures. It's not flowing smoothly. Just bear with me. Okay, now one sad story. Police in the United States have apprehended a 24-year-old man following the shooting of two of his family members. The Western Police Department in Massachusetts, USA, issued a statement revealing that the incident took place on Friday, July 7, 2023 at around 8:30 in the morning. It took approximately 13 hours for the police to successfully arrest the suspect. The suspect, according to reports, is a former student of Wenchi Senior High School who currently resides in Webster with his family. Now, according to the police, officers were dispatched to a residence on Colby Avenue in response to a domestic incident involving a male suspect who had shot two family members. Now, however, when the police arrived at the scene, the suspect had already fled. The suspect had already fled. My apologies, just bear with me. Okay, however, when the police arrived at the scene, the suspect had already fled. Officers spoke with a family member present and noticed the suspect, who appeared to be carrying a handgun, outside the residence. The officers ordered him to get on the ground and initially he complied. However, he suddenly jumped up, fired at the officers and ran back into the house. It is a very, very sad one. Well, so in response, a police team comprising the police hostage negotiation team, SWAT team, K9 unit, drone operators, and a mobile crisis mental health clinician swiftly arrived at the scene. For approximately 13 hours, officers attempted to persuade the male to leave the resident. Hostage negotiators continually attempted to make contact. The drone provided valuable aerial video and SWAT officers maintained the perimeter. Now, Western paramedics and firefighters were standing by. The male fired his handgun at officers on several different occasions during the incident, and officers returned fire. Finally, at about 9:30 p.m., the male took a step out of the rear of the resident and was taken into custody with the assistance of a K9. He was treated medically by paramedics, placed under arrest, and transported to the hospital, the police has said. But this all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 16 minutes to the top of the hour. And as I did say, exactly at 12 o'clock, we're bringing the program to a close for today. Stay tuned. Don't you go away. Okay, some breaking news coming through once again. Now, an adult has been taken to hospital with a suspected stab wound following an incident in Tewkesbury School. The police have said the school in Gloucestershire is in lockdown. Now, police say they were called on Monday morning after a report that the people had stabbed a teacher. A teenage boy has been arrested. Tewkesbury is a state school for 11 to 18 years. We can't tell who on what because it's a breaking story that is coming through, and as and when we have it, we'll be bringing more to you. There is a steady stream of traffic coming across the school and looking at what is going on inside. A lot of police cars are outside at the moment, and there are a few ambulances as well. Now, lots of parents are on the road outside the school. It's not clear if people are still in the school, but overhearing snips of the conversation, talking to people, it seems there are still people inside. Well, so a school on the lockdown at the moment due to stabbing. Well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Just bear with me whilst we try to finish or run up the program this morning. Again, my apologies for the way I felt this morning. Okay, so in China, kindergarten stabbing, 6 people are dead in Liajiang. 6 people, including 3 children, have been killed in a kindergarten stabbing in China's southeastern Guangdong province. Now, police said they have arrested a 25-year-old man with a surname Wu in Liajiang. The other victims are a teacher and 2 parents. AFP reported, quoting a local official, 1 person is also injured. Now, police have called this a case of intentional assault, but not elaborated on the possible motive. The attack happened on Monday at 0740 local time, that's 2340 Sunday GMT, just as parents were dropping their children off for summer classes. The man was arrested at 08 hours. A store owner who works near the kindergarten said that the surrounding area had been sealed up. Liajiang has a population of about 1.87 million, and somebody will say in China that is just a small percentage there, but it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Let me do my best to just run up the program pretty soon. The prospect of mercenaries from the Russian Wagner group moving to Belarus as part of deals struck to end the mutiny has made Poland extra wary of its neighbors. Now, its neighbor, let me put it that way. The border, once marked by a few pillars and wooden lookout posts, has already been transformed by miles of tall metal fencing, thermal cameras, and spotlights. They were installed by Belarus. They were installed after Belarus began encouraging thousands of migrants to cross into Poland 2 years ago in the Warsaw calls in what Warsaw calls an act of hybrid warfare. Now, Minsk and Moscow are close allies. Ahead of this week's NATO summit in Lithuania, the Polish government has been warning that Wagner forces could be used to spark more trouble. So it's deploying hundreds of extra police officers at its eastern border as reinforcement. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The news is still going on. A teenage boy has been arrested after an adult has been stabbed in Tewkesbury School. All right then. Now, EasyJet has cancelled some flights, 1,700 flights. The airline has asked flights during July, August, and September traveling to and from Gatwick Airport. Now, EasyJet blamed constrained airspace over Europe and ongoing air traffic control difficulties which are causing regular cancellations. The company said 95% of affected passengers has been rebooked onto alternative flights. Now, EasyJet announced the decision as many schools in England and Wales prepare to break up for the summer holidays. Now, the company said the cancellation roughly represents the equivalent of 1 day's worth of flight. It will still operate about 90,000 journeys over the period. A spokesperson said the whole airline industry was seeing challenging conditions this summer as the closure of Ukrainian airspace due to Russia war caused congestion in the skies and disrupted flights. They also said planned strikes by air traffic controllers in Europe could have an impact. Well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, before I bring the program to a close, and as I said, bear with me. You see how I'm feeling? Just bear with me. A second girl has died after Wimbledon school crash. A second girl, 8 as well. Nuria Sajjad has died yesterday due to that. And then in other stories, Joe Biden, U.S. President Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak have had a brief meeting at Downing Street. The talks came after the U.S. said it will be sending cluster bombs to Ukraine, which Sunak said the UK discourages. Now, during the meeting, Biden described the US-UK relationship as rock solid. Now, Sunak added that the two countries were the firmest allies. President Biden is now on his way to meet the King Charles at Windsor Castle. Now, Biden and Sunak will meet again tomorrow at the NATO summit in Lithuania. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I have to bring the program to a close. My sincere apologies. I need to actually pick myself up and push myself to get to this point. But I know you know that we present the best every time. But for today, I say thank you very much for your time with us. Enjoy this music from Mickey Paris, and it says a change is gonna come. Whatever it is, I'm gonna feel good. Yomi is gonna feel good, and you're gonna be feeling good, and we are gonna be coming together to bring you the morning show once again. But on that note, I say it loud and clear. Have a wonderful day. May Nigeria not happen to you, and see you all tomorrow. Bye bye for now.
Since it's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
To the movie, and I go downtown.
Thanks for listening.
Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes it will. Then I go to my brother. think I'm able.